welcome to my new playlist. Hello everyone, I'm Sunil. I welcome you back to my YouTube channel Tech Basics. Today I'm very happy to announce that I'm starting up a new playlist wherein I'm going to add the videos related to Python. Dear friends, this is all possible because of the support and the encouragement that you have provided. Thank you, one and all. So let's start today. What exactly is Python all about? Why Python is becoming more popular and why it is in high demand today in the market. So let's go with this. So we can call Python as the most versatile language that is available today in the market. So let's understand the reasons why this particular language has become more popular and why one has to learn this particular language. So the reasons are many. I have mentioned 10 reasons over here wherein we say today Python is in high demand and it has become the first choice of the programmer. So that is because Python is popular, like the picture that I am displaying. It's as popular as Taj Mahal today. It's as popular as one of the seven wonders in the world today. And then Python, because of its easiness to write the code, it is becoming more popular. And because of that, it has become the first choice of the programmer. So today we can say Python is in high demand because it stands at number 4 after the languages like HTML, after the languages like SQL and JavaScript. You will find Python is positioned. So it is positioned at number 4 today, and more people are trying to make use of this particular language because it's open up multiple career opportunities for the programmer. And then we say Python is easy to learn and use. It is easier to learn and use, and the people who are frustrated with the earlier languages because of the syntax, Python has done everything for all those users. So one can try or definitely give a try on Python and then can get back the interest in learning computer languages. It is a versatile language. It is as versatile as English, it is as straightforward as English, and it opens up multiple career opportunities for the user who learns Python programming language. This language, unlike other languages, this is an interpreted language, whereas most of the other languages we call them as compiled languages. So there is a little bit of difference over here between interpreted and compiled. So when you talk about a compiler, basically it will pick up the entire code that we write at once and then it will translate to zeros and ones, are the language which our machine understands. When you talk about interpreter, it picks up a statement, translate to zeros and ones, then goes for the second, translate into zeros and ones, and so on. So that is how Python, we call it as an interpreted language. It is reliable and it is most efficient language today because Python helps us to write applications and which supports multiple environments. Like Python application can run on a mobile, you can write desktop applications, you can write web applications, you can do hardware programming with the help of Python because of the rich library support which Python provides. The reason you will find most of the machine learning algorithms, cloud computing applications are designed with the help of Python. Python provides us huge libraries. That is, in case of Python, you will find multiple libraries, many libraries for the user to make use of. Like we have Matplotlib, you got NumPy, you got Pandas, which you got Django, and so on, which makes the life of a programmer more easier to work with. So if you want to design a web application, you can use Django. If you want to connect with the data sets, if you want to work with databases and all, you can make use of of pandas and so on. And then if you want to go for making use of visualization things, then you can make use of matplot and so on. Like the reason we also say Python is the a best suited language for performing automation. So when you can write applications, when you can write the algorithms of machine learning in Python, that is where we talk about automation process and so on. So the best suited language for performing automation of the task or the work that we do, we can make use of Python over there. Python has got a strong community support. As more and more people are making use of Python, more and more companies are making use of Python, larger resources are built in Python, and that is how the community supports for the beginners, for the programmers, and so on. It also has strong corporate support. Companies like Amazon, companies like Facebook and companies like Google are making use of Python, and that is where you find a strong support for Python in terms of corporate sector. So these are a few advantages, are the reasons why we say one as a programmer or as a student has to learn Python. The core philosophy of the Python is to eliminate something and do something in a different way. The philosophy, which is summarized in Zen of Python, says beautiful is better than ugly. So whenever we are writing a code, we should know that the code should be in a readable form. Any person not literate with computer must be able to understand something in that particular language. That is where you talk about beautiful is better than ugly. Explicit is better than implicit. So whatever task we have to perform in Python has to be done explicitly by a programmer, and nothing can be done implicitly. So implicit conversions to a larger extent are avoided in Python. So whatever you have to tell, you have to write the code for that, and the system will do for you, and so on. Like simple is better than complex. So any complex application that we want to design, it can be made in a simple way, or it can be made to look in a simple way when you talk about or make use of a language called Python. And then complicated is better than complex is better than complicated. So instead of we making certain things complicated, we can make it as complex, and that complex application you can do it in a simpler fashion using Python. And then readability counts. So whenever you are talking about Python, it's easy for anyone to understand the language, because it is as good as writing an English language. What is Python? So we can say Python is a computer programming language which is interpreted and not compiled. It is object oriented. It is high level programming language. It is high level because it is like English language, and it is object oriented because when you write a program of Python, you make use of all the features of object oriented programming. Like you make use of an object, you make use of a class, you make use of data hiding concept, you make use of abstraction, then you make use of inheritance, polymorphism, data encapsulation, and so on. So we'll try to study all these things in a detailed manner as we progress. Because of all this, Python can be made use of, or it can be called as a rapid application development. It is very attractive for rapid application development. So whenever you want to perform any task, instead of we going to try it with other languages, you can easily do that particular application, or you can create a model of that application with the help of Python language. The reason we say it is attractive for rapid application development. And then we say Python is simple, it is easy to learn because of the syntax that is provided by this particular language. A question that comes is why we have to learn Python. Python is must for the students. We say Python is must for the working professionals to become a software engineer, especially when they are trying to work in an area of web development, in an area of mobile applications, and so on. As we said, it is an interpreted language, and the next feature that you have is it is interactive. Python is interactive. Meaning of that is you can actually sit at the Python prompt and interact with the interpreter directly to write you a program. So you can execute a program statement by statement over here with the help of an option given called the Python prompt. As we discuss, it is object oriented language. Meaning of that is it is going to support the features of object oriented programming language. Python is a choice of the beginner, as we said, because of the easiness, because of the syntax that is provided by Python. It should be the first choice of the beginners. To understand the features of Python language, first of all, we say it is most widely used language over the web today. As I said, it is the fourth popular language in the world today. It is easy to read, it is easy to learn, easy to maintain, lot of libraries, a broad standard libraries provided, and you can as well work with the Python in an interactive manner. Apart from that, this particular language is portable. So when you talk about portable, we used to make use of this word for portable TVs. So that means a TV which can be taken from one place to another place. In the similar way, you can write a program of Python on one system, you can carry it on to another system. In spite of having a difference in the hardware, your program is going to work on that particular system in the same way as it was working on the first system. So in spite of having difference in the hardware, your program of Python is going to execute. That is where you talk about portability. Programming language called Python is extensible. When you talk about extensible, it means that you can add some low level module to Python interpreter. These modules will help the programmer to add or customize their tools, and you can make your application more efficient. So we say it is portable, it is extendable, and then Python also can communicate with the databases that are available in the market, so that you can store the data in a database and then you can make use of the data which is stored in a database. Then program support, that is Python supports GUI programming. Here we talk about graphical user interface programming. So as we know, this particular concept was used earlier in Java and so on. You also find the same thing happening in Python, but you can do it in a much more easier manner because of the libraries that are available to us in Python. It is a scalable language wherein Python provides a better structure and support for large programs than shell scripting. So these are the various features about a language called Python. I will just repeat them once again. Easy to read, easy to learn, easy to maintain, having a strong library support, interactive mode. It is a portable language, extendable language. It connects with databases. It allows to work with GUI programming, and it is a scalable language. So when one learns Python, an advantage you get is you can become a Python developer, you can become a research analyst, you can become a data scientist, you can become a data analyst, and then you can also be called a software developer and then DevOps engineer and so on. So there are multiple opportunities that opens up if you are going to master this particular language called Python. To just go with the history of Python, who has developed this particular language, when it is developed, and so on. So it's an interpreted language, high level language, general purpose programming language. It was created by Guido van Rossum, and it was first released in the year 1991. This particular language was designed and developed at National Research Institute for Mathematics and Computer Science in Netherlands. programming language called Python is derived from many other languages, including ABC, Modular 3, C, Algol 68, Smalltalk, Unix Shell, and other scripting languages. It is copyrighted and source code is available under GPL. Now, we may have a question here why this language is named as Python. When you are talking about Python, we are not talking about any snake over here. It's about a particular circus, which was a comedy series which was running in UK in the year 1970 and so on. So Guido van Rossum, who was reading and who was reading the published script from Monto Python's Flying Circus, a BBC comedy series from 1970s. He has named that particular language after it, as he wanted to have a short, unique, slightly mysterious. So he decided to give the name for that particular language as Python. So normally it's a concept that whenever you have to name something, you will try to pick up something which is very popular to that and so on. And accordingly, you will try to give a name for that and so on. So this is how the name given called Python. It is from a BBC comedy series called Monty Python's Flying Circus. So it's not about any snake and so on that we normally see or that we normally imagine when we say Python. So going with the syntax of Python language, Python is more like writing English language and doing mathematics. So every command that we write has to be on a new line in Python. So you don't have to make use of something like semicolon, dot after the end of a particular statement and so on in Python. Python works with the concept of indentation, wherein we make use of spaces to define the scope, and there is no need to make use of the braces that we use in other languages and so on. Like, so when you try writing the code of Python, you will definitely find it much more easier than other languages. And those, as I told you, those who are frustrated with the languages and the syntax of earlier languages will definitely come back to Python, and they will definitely find interest in Python, and they can make a career using this particular language, which is supposed to be the popular and the most easiest language today. Software to write Python program. I'll show you this, what software we need to install to go for Python, and then how do we write the code of Python, and then how do we execute it. We can definitely make use of Anaconda Navigator with the help of IDE over there. A lot of IDEs are provided. You can make use of an IDE like Jupyter over there, and then you can code the or write the program of Python. Or you can as well make use of VS Code for execution of Python program. So I'll tell you how to work with this, how to install this and so on, like in my next video. Let's try to just get into details about how is that we are going to write a program of Python with the help of an output statement. So we'll just try to understand what is an output statement in Python. So in the output statement in Python is much similar to that of an output statement in other language. Like here, we can make use of print function as an output statement. The print function is used to output data to the standard output device, nothing but your screen in Python, wherein you can directly say print, hello, my first program of Python. So the syntax of this print function goes in this fashion. You will say print, you got objects over there to be written, followed by a separator, followed by the end character, followed by where to output your data, followed by the status of the buffer and so on. So when you talk about here objects over here is nothing but the values that you want to print using print function. SCP over here is a separator that is to be used to separate the values, and then end over here is to indicate the end character. What should be the end character of your print statement? And then file is the object to tell where to print the values. By default it will print on a standard output device, nothing but on your screen. Flush is true to forcibly clear the buffer. It is false in order to see that the buffer is not cleared. It makes no difference for us right now, but we'll get into details of everything that we have written over here as we start writing programs using Python. So some basics we'll try to understand in Python. So Python basics, wherein how do we write a comment line in Python? Like we write double slash slash star in other languages. Here you can just make use of hash. Hash, if you write hash at the beginning, this will be treated as a comment line. If you want to provide multiple comment lines, multiple lines as comment, then you have to write hash for every line and so on. So this will be your first comment line, this will be the second comment line, the third comment line, and so on. So just remember, hash is what we need to make use of when you want to make some statement or some line as a comment line. And then when you talk about variables in Python, as we know, variable is a placeholder wherein we can store data pertaining to a particular data type. So here you can make use of variables like x equals to 5, wherein we say x is the variable and phi is the data that we are going to store in x. So this x now, whether it is integer or float or character, it depends on what kind of value you assign to it and so on. So y equals to TechBasics. So depending on a value, the data type of y is decided. X will be treated as integer variable because you have assigned phi, and then y will be treated as string variable because you have assigned a string value to that particular variable. So then what are the rules of rewriting a particular variable in Python? Much similar to other languages, your variable name must start with an alphabet, or you can also have underscore in your variable name, and your variable name can also start with an underscore. Number cannot be at the beginning as a first character in your variable name. So you cannot have a number at the beginning of the variable name. Can contain alphabets. Your variable name can contain alphabets, numbers, underscore. Okay. And then variable names are case sensitive. So if I write something in capital and then refer to it or call to it in small case, it is not going to work because they are case sensitive and so on. So what is the correct variable and what is not a correct variable? Okay, let's try to understand. As we said, based on the rules that we have over here. So when I write my name, it is valid because I have started this particular variable name with an alphabet and so on. There is no space in the in between and so on. My dash name. So this is not valid because if at all you want to separate, you can make use of underscore and not any other character over there. My name too valid because we can use alphabets, we can use numbers. To my name not valid because your variable name cannot start with a number. Again here it is starting with a number, so it is not valid. My underscore name valid because you can make use of underscore. My name, my dash, that is underscore, my name too valid because you can use underscore, you can use two, and they should not be, this number should not be at the beginning. 2 underscore not valid because the numeric value cannot be at the beginning. Here also the numeric value cannot be at the beginning and so on. So the rules much similar to what we have in other languages and so on. Assigning values to a variable in Python. So you can assign a value to a particular variable in Python as we see over here. X equals to 100, Y equals to 200, Y equals to 10.20, A equals to tech, B equals to basic, C equals to Hyderabad. Or you can as well assign A comma B comma C equals to tech basics Hyderabad. This is as good as we writing all these three. So we can as well write, if you want to make all three variables equals to Hyderabad, you can say A equals to Hyderabad. You can say B, A equals to B equals to C equals to Hyderabad, and so on. Like so, this is how you can assign values to a particular variable in Python. Then, if you want to display the value that is available in a particular variable, you can display it in this fashion. You can say print A, it is going to print the value of that variable. But if you want to have that particular value in a user friendly manner, you can always say print city name is the caption that you want to give before you print that name. City name quotation in quotation plus a. So what happens? This will be displayed as it is, and this will be concatenated with the value of the variable a. So plus symbol over here is used for concatenation if you are working with strings, and it is used for addition if you are working with numbers and so on. So we say over here plus is an overloaded operator wherein you can perform multiple things with the help of this particular operator. We'll then discuss about data types in Python, and then we will try to discuss more about this in our next lecture, in the next video that I'm going to post. So just go with data types at a glance, and then we'll stop over here in this particular video. So the various data types that you have in Python, very new to us. So you got a data type called numeric, which means you can make use of integer data type over there, floating point data type over there, and then you can make use of complex numbers also when you talk about numeric data type, which are normally used to solve your quadratic equations and complex number programs and so on. Like you then have a data type called text, wherein you can make use of string data type. You got a data type called sequence, wherein you can use list, tuple, and then range. You got a data type called mapping, wherein you can make use of dictionary. You got a data type called set, wherein you can use a set, and you can as well make use of something called a frozen set. You can make use of a data type called boolean, wherein you can use bool, and then you can make use of something new for us called binary, wherein you can use memory view, byte, byte array, and so on. So with this, I will stop this particular video over here. Let's try to explore the details about this particular data type with an example in the next video. Thank you.